I'm BB. Welcome back to our show. Gosh darn dandy time. Today's topic, we're going to be talking about my top 5 best TV show parents ever. Yes, there are a lot of great comedies and TV shows and dramas that have great parents and great kids. Sometimes the kids suck, sometimes the parents suck, and sometimes they all suck. And sometimes they're all great. Sometimes they just click very well with the audience and with the viewer and with each other in the show. So, number 5, Lois and Hal Wilkerson from Malcolm in the Middle. Now, in the show, Wilkerson, their last name, wasn't mentioned very often. But when it was, I guess it didn't really mean anything. But the show was great. It was 7 seasons. The show was great because it didn't have a laugh track. It let you laugh when you wanted to. It made you happy. It made you smile. There were scenes where Hal would be practically naked. Bryan Cranston was naked, and they showed that he was naked without showing his nether region, which was funny for regular TV. That was funny. And then Dewey being the cute one, but also getting into some antics as he got older, and then baby Jamie, and then Reese, and then Malcolm. Oh, don't forget Francis. Francis definitely had his fair share of adventures and extravaganzas and fun days and all that trouble he got into in military school and on that ranch he was at and the chick he got married to and the other chick he got married to and the other chick he got married to and all the girlfriends he brought home to destroy Lois. Just to bug Lois. Just to annoy Lois. Just to make Lois want to kill him. And that was funny. The show was funny, fabulous, entertaining. Even the side characters, like the Krellboyne kids, and the kid in the wheelchair, and when Reese had friends, when Reese had a girlfriend, the episode when Reese got really into cooking, that episode where Reese beat up a bunch of other kids. That episode where Reese beat up a bunch of other kids who kept on making fun of Dewey for carrying a purse instead of a backpack. And even though Reese tried to beat Dewey up, eventually he beat up the other kids and let Dewey continue carrying a purse. Because I think the show was trying to make fun of Teletubbies at the time, which was criticized for Tinky Winky being gay and carrying a purse, which wasn't really the objective, but okay, whatever. So, number 4, Charles and Caroline Ingalls, a classic. Little House on the Prairie, a classic. 7 seasons, 9 seasons of Little House on the Prairie, and the last 3 seasons focused more on the Jebs and a couple of other, the Jebs, the Olsons, and I think 2 or 3 other families, parents and townspeople who weren't the Ingalls, but the Ingalls had moved on. And it was more about the new people. And more about Laura and Mary, and Laura being an adult and being a teacher and getting married to Almanzo. That was all great. But whenever there is a conflict, Charles had the answer to solving that conflict. He knew how to be a viewer from all different angles of a conflict, from being the bystander, to being the witness, to being the devil's advocate, to making fun of people, but in a good way, where he could develop a sense of sarcasm, wit, and humor to help, what's the word I want, to help dissolve extreme conflict. And every time that Harriet Olsen would get all up in people's faces and start spreading lies and rumors around town, then Charles just did the greatest job of telling her where she needed to be and to put her in her place with the best sarcasm and witty remarks. He would also do that to other people in the show. And then later on, Michael Landon, who played Charles, was also in a show called Highway to Heaven with his fellow Little House on the Prairie co-star, Victor French, but that's for a different episode. So Charles and Caroline provided great advice, great conflict resolution, Great parenting themes, great modeling of what a parent should be, what married parents should be back in the 70s and 80s. It was a great show. I just loved it. I watched it every day when I came home from school on the Hallmark Channel. It was my jam. So, number 3, Lois Fatelli from As Told by Ginger. I've stated this in a previous episode, how As Told by Ginger was my true heart's desire of a TV show to be released on DVD by Nickelodeon, but they refuse, and they're still taking their gosh darn dandy time to release it on DVD, but they've released practically every single Nicktoon, all the old school live action comedy shows on DVD, except As Told by Ginger. I don't know why, but they won't. But Lois Fatelli, she was a single mom with wit and humor and sarcasm and facetiousness and just this great personality. She knew how to make Ginger happy. She knew how to talk to her kids with realistic words and terms, with realistic answers, with sarcastic, witty answers, to give great advice in the moment. She knew how to react to medical situations in the moment. She knew how to react to chaos in the moment without overreacting. As Told by Ginger was a great show, and I miss it dearly. Lois Fatelli, you're great. You keep on being you. Number 2, Zeke and Camille Braverman, tied with Adam and Christina Braverman from NBC's Parenthood, which was, I believe, 2008 through 2015 or 2016. It ran for 6 seasons and an extra couple of months. That show, when it ended, I cried, I think, for like 3 or 4 hours. I cried myself to sleep because the show ended. I can't rewatch the final episode, ever. I've rewatched the entire series one time over, even though it was all still fresh in my head when I rewatched it on Netflix and I binged it. I couldn't get myself to watch the final episode because I remembered what happened in it. I couldn't do that. Couldn't make myself cry like that again. NBC's Parenthood, I miss you. You don't need a reboot. You don't need to come back. But you touched me, my heart. Something special. You really did. Okay, our honorable mentions before I hit number 1 include Mike and Frankie Heck from The Middle on ABC. Ran for 9 seasons. It was a great show. I think it aired when I originally was in 12th grade in high school, and it was interesting. It was after Malcolm in the Middle ended, but a couple of other shows had ended, and it was just kind of that good in-between comedy that didn't have a laugh track. You could laugh when you wanted. It was like 22 minutes in runtime. It had happy moments, dramatic moments. It had continuity in its storytelling. So they referenced a lot of past events in future episodes. So that way, it wasn't just standalone episodes. It was actually continuous. Number 2, for honorable mentions, Sandy Cohen and Kirsten Cohen from The OC. Sandy Cohen was the DILF of the mid-2000s TV show era. He was a DILF. That's all I have to say. And number 3, Jake and Helen Morgendorffer from Daria on MTV in the late 90s. I was going to put them on my worst parents list, but then I remembered they weren't that bad. They were satirical, they were ironic, they were narcissistic, they were selfish, they were mean, but sometimes they had sarcastic, witty answers and replies and lines, and they were interesting characters, but they only get an honorable mention. They don't get top. No. Our number 1 tonight is Russ and Amy Matthews from Boy Meets World. I've seen this said in many other YouTube videos that they were just the best. They had the best replies, the best ways, the best advice, the best ways to raise their kids. Great humor, great sarcasm, great witty remarks. They were happy-going, they were good, and they knew how to talk to their kids, and they knew how to talk to Mr. Feeney next door. Anyways, to finish this up, please click like, click subscribe, please comment below who your favorite TV parents are and why. Adios.